So today's all about developing your skills as a mentee. And to get things started, I'm going to give you a test so you could really evaluate how you're doing so far as a mentee. And then I'm going to provide even more strategies that you could bring to every mentoring relationship that you have throughout your career, throughout your life. For this quiz, I'd like you to put a check mark beside the items that you do and an X beside the items that you don't do. The first question is, are you receptive to new ideas and feedback? So if you're receptive, put a check mark. If you're not, put an X. Do you come to meetings with an idea of what you would like to achieve? Do you take action on what you say you're going to do? Do you have a positive attitude? Are you appreciative of your mentor's time? Do you begin meetings with small talk? At the end of a meeting or conversation, do you summarize the discussion and discuss action items? Do you take the initiative to schedule meetings? Do you put into practice the skills and the knowledge that you gained? Do you get excited by your progress? Do you listen to your mentor? Do you demonstrate a commitment to the mentoring relationship? Do you feel as though you're making progress? Do you respond to messages from your mentor in a timely manner? And the last question, do you provide your mentor with regular progress updates? Okay, so I want you to count up all the check marks and count up all the X's. Now, if you have more check marks than X's, you are doing a great job. But I also want you to focus on some of those X's and start to think about what are some of the things that you don't currently do and how can you start doing those with your mentor. In terms of some other mentee tips, always set the agenda and be prepared. So for every mentoring meeting or conversation that you have, go into that mentoring conversation with an idea of what you want to achieve, and then have a set of 3 or 4 questions that will help you achieve that. This makes the mentor's life so much easier. I have been a mentor to one mentee, and it was very challenging because every meeting, they didn't know what they were looking to achieve from that meeting. So as the mentor, I had to pull things out and I had to help that person to identify what they're looking for. So it's really good if you do the work and you have an idea of what you'd like to achieve during a mentoring meeting. Practice your skills in between meetings. So let's say you learn something amazing about delegation or leadership. Put that skill into action and then let your mentor know how it went. Keep your mentoring relationship on track. It's actually your job as the mentee to keep your mentoring relationship on track. And if a meeting's canceled, take the initiative to reschedule it. And don't feel that your mentor is too busy and that you're kind of inconveniencing them. Because by you taking the initiative to reschedule that meeting, it's making, like I said before, it's making the mentor's job easier. So always reschedule that meeting. It's always your responsibility to keep that relationship going throughout. Send progress updates. So let's say that you met with someone that your mentor referred. Let them know how that went. Or anything else that kind of came up in between meetings. Because when you send those progress updates to your mentor, it gets them even more excited about supporting you and helping you because they're really starting to see how you're progressing with their guidance. Next one is to dig deep by responding and reflecting. So your mentor is going to ask you a lot of great questions during your mentoring conversations. And I want you to think about your responses because when you're thinking about and when you're saying those responses, that's when you're going to have the aha moment where you figure out the right path for yourself. So really dig deep in terms of responding to your mentor and thinking about the questions that they ask you. And the aha moment might happen right there with that conversation, or it might happen later on when you're reflecting on the conversation overall. Ask questions about their experiences. That's a great way to learn about the lessons that they've learned, the mistakes they've learned along the way. A lot of mentees might say to a mentor, what would you do in this situation? But maybe instead of saying, what would you do in this situation, ask them about their experience in that situation so that they could talk about what they did for themselves. And then you could take what's important and apply that to your life. Be receptive to new ideas and to new feedback. A lot of people, when you give them feedback, they will say, no, that won't work because. And I don't want you to do that, because that shuts down the mentor from giving you more feedback. So instead, think about the feedback, and then you could decide later on if it's something that you want to pursue or not. But don't shut it down right away. Be receptive to the ideas and be receptive to what your mentor is talking about. Be positive. It's not much fun at all to mentor someone who's negative. It's okay to vent sometimes because you need to talk about your feelings and what you're going through, but always be positive and passionate as well. And the last one is to really stay focused. And I remember I was in a class and during that day of the class, I lost a major contract. And the professor asked me a question. And I was daydreaming. I didn't know the answer. So after the class, the professor came up to me and he said that for me to succeed, I need to be 100% focused. And that comment from that professor changed my life. And I stay focused during everything that I do, whether it's having dinner with my family or playing with my kids, everything I try to stay focused on the moment. And that's so important in your mentoring conversations. You don't want to be doing other things when you're talking to your mentor. You want to focus on that conversation because that's when you'll get a lot from it. Take action. So what skills do you need to develop as a mentee? We've done the mentee quiz. You put some X's. So think about, identify those skills, and then create a plan for how you're going to develop those skills at your upcoming mentoring meetings.